Oh hey my dear, welcome to my channel, Maugly's here! It's time to find out what happened to the neighbor and his family. Is the main character his son? And who that black ghost is? First of all, I tell you about full chronology of events, and then I will describe the meaning of each episode. But before I tell you all secrets, please don't be lazy and hit the like button. If you watch this video from beginning till the end, you will not have any questions about the story of game Hello Neighbor. So make yourself comfortable, let's begin. The main plot you can find in dreams, where you see the key events of this story. We should build it in the right order and use our brains. There was a neighbor with his family. Of course, now we see their family picture, but even before we can find it out when we see that there are a lot of shoes in their hallway in the first act. And also we hear a lot of voices and see a lot of plates in the kitchen during the dream attraction. The neighbor's family life was quite happy till the moment when they fall into a car accident with his wife. As a result, his wife got strong injuries and she died in the hospital. After this, the neighbor becomes depressed. His life lost bright colors, but still he's trying to take care of his children. But, if be honest, he can't do it well. Because of this tragedy, the neighbor's son became crazy and he did strange things. The neighbor can't change anything and he's just crying. One day when neighbor went on business, his children climbed to the roof and there his son, in the condition of psychosis, deliberately pushed his sister from the roof and she crashed to death. When the neighbor was almost near the house, he saw what had happened. He entered the fence and then he went out of the car and ran to his daughter. He saw that she died and he was shocked. And in this condition he decided to bury her in the backyard in the coffin of his own production. The neighbor understood that his son did it and he put him in the basement. He made his something like room and sometimes he let him went out. Very soon citizens of Krups noticed the absence of children, and that's why the neighbor decided to make advertisements, missing children, and he put it on the pillars. But one day when the neighbor released his son from the basement, the main character was passing by their house and he saw neighbor's son. First, the neighbor noticed that this little boy is watching him and he grabbed the boy and got him back to the house. But the main character is very curious and he decides to find out who is sitting in the basement. When we come to the basement, we see the facilities where the neighbor's son lived. Then the main character finds exit from the basement and runs away from there. Then the main character tells everything to his parents and they call to police. Neighbor's son is directed to asylum, but what happens to the neighbor is difficult to say. Maybe he became old and died, and he couldn't forgive himself for everything. Our main character grows up and moves to other city. He is doing there not very good and very soon he gets eviction agenda. He doesn't have money to rent other place, that's why he decides to go back to his home. The home of his childhood. He wants to repair it and live there happily. When he comes back, we see the neighbor's house is destroyed. Only frightening memories are still there. It is a chronology of events which were showed in the game, but also there is the internal things. Why the neighbor does like this? What does all these bizarre levels mean? And also fighting with gigantic neighbor and shadow. The answer to it is in the dark shadow. As many people guess, this shadow is a fear. Because of fear, he decided to dig his daughter. Because of fear, he puts his son to the basement. And because of fear, he puts advertisements on pillars. He was afraid that everyone will know about this situation and he would be punished. Also, the main character was attacked by fear. First act, it's a real world, and all what has happened was a reality. But second and third act is just illusion. There his fears become bigger and bigger. That's why the house becomes bigger and bigger. And also daughter's grave becomes bigger, and the neighbor becomes more angry and awful. Parts of the dreams which we see, the main character sees a little bit later, when he grows up. All these dreams, it's a thinking of the main character of neighbor's life. That's why if we look to ourselves during the dreams, we will see the model of grown-up main character. All these childhood fears the main character carried through his whole life. And then he comes back to his house and all these fears appear again. And then he hears telephone ring, but In this house there is no electricity for many years, and also there is no mobile network. He enters his house and sees his photo and comes down, but then he looks at neighbor's house and his fear comes back. In the third act also there is some episodes when the main character passes through his own nightmares which connected to his own fears. For example, he is always afraid to go to the supermarket because he thinks that people will sweep him away with their carts, that they will take away his products, and the seller will damage him if he buys something wrong. Also, the main character is afraid of darkness, that's why he can manage with the nightmare in the basement when he turns on the light. And the last is the nightmare in school. People scoff at him in school, and the teacher was always very strict. And as a result, the main character wants to hide in the wardrobe. If we are attentive, we see that fear is everywhere. He watches everything from the side, and it's ready to attack his mind when it's a good moment. When the main characters overcame his children's fears, he decided to come back to his sick experience, the visit of basement. And when he went down there, he got rid of it. There he had a battle with the neighbor. And it was the last and strongest fear, which appeared in the form of screaming monster, with the house which has grown to the back. All weapons are toys, what tell us that all these fears were from childhood. And the house of neighbor's back shows us neighbor's heavy burden. These are all his fears, tragedies, which were in his consciousness and which led him to that end. That's why when we enter this house, we see the last dream, and we see episodes which influenced his mind. Buried daughter, his son in the basement, and advertisements by which he can hide his tragedy. And we see that everywhere is this fear personified. And finally, there is a last battle with fear, where the main character tried to protect himself from psychological traumas of his childhood. When the main character deals with the attack, he becomes bigger. It means his confidence grows up. And then he overtakes the moment when the fear damaged at all. If we go further, we see the room, which is full of light, and small house where the neighbor and fear are closed. The main character finds the power to overcome the fear, but neighbor can't do it. And it means he closes his road to the door with sign exit. To this door the main character is trying to enter the whole game, and he entered this door in the final. This game is not about fighting between the main character and the neighbor. It's all about tragic story to what your fear can lead you, or what your life will be without fear. I think everyone can have a lesson from this story, and owing to it, we can learn how to be brave. This is the end of Neighbor's story, but not the end of Veyron Krupp City. And in the future there will be a lot of amazing stories. That's all. Thanks for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that explanation of Hello Neighbor's story. And remember, I still have some secrets which I found in the game, but that will be in the next episode. As always, stay high and bye-bye.
Не бойся, бро, скорее жми на кнопку подписаться, чтобы без новеньких видосов не остаться. И даже если ты Шерхан, запомни мой мотив: без шуток ниже пояса, без мата позитив. Я буду Маугли, а ты будь всегда на высоте. Здесь собрались только самые адекватные. Я буду Маугли, а ты подпишись.